Speaking of the National Capital Region now, the year was 2006 when the Congress government in Delhi proposed setting up a waste-to-energy plant in the national capital. 6 years later, the plant also became operational in Okhla. It was touted as a model waste-to-energy plant which was processing 2,000 tons of waste every single day and generating 23 megawatts of power. However, the celebration was short-lived as just a week after the plant became operational, residents from nearby areas started complaining of dust accumulation on the roads, cars, clothes, etc. Now, this is when the trouble actually started to mount. In a 5-year-long investigation by the New York Times, it has now been revealed that the pioneering plant is now exposing 1 million people to highly toxic emissions. These include significant amount of cadmium, lead, manganese, arsenic, and also cobalt. All of these are hazardous substances and long exposure to them could also be fatal. Now, the residue ash from the plant is also dumped in the residential area, which further makes the air poisonous. Now, as per this report, the plant continues to flout pollution rules despite multiple penalties. In fact, ironically, the plant is also run by the Jindal Group in partnership with Delhi Civic Body, and it is of course now earning carbon credits, which also represents emission reduction units. The civic body has now reacted to all of these allegations, this report that's come out saying that the vested interests are now behind this report.
The MCD has responded in this tone. They have said the New York Times report is nothing but vested interests against the attempts towards green energy. But what also remains to be seen is how the MCD needs to react against the allegations of the residents who for years now, even before the inception of this plant, have been protesting the location specifically and also the mechanism of waste incineration in the first place. Now, a report by the government's own institute, the National Environmental Engineering Research Institute itself, that submitted a report to the National Green Tribunal this year itself, states how a lot of waste that's generated, most of the waste in fact that's generated in the national capital is non-segregated, and whenever non-segregated waste is burnt in these plants, it releases a higher amount of emissions and lesser quality of power as well. So it's not very efficient way of handling the waste problem in the national capital. Also, the byproducts that are left from burning of such waste, toxic ash as well as heavy metals that are released in the smoke that's generated from the plant has been a cause of concern. Residents have been raising for years now, collectively as well, by appeals in the National Green Tribunal as well as in the Supreme Court, as well as before the Delhi High Court also at some points, on how this is impacting their health, on how it's essentially declining their health, especially of those who are children and senior people.